this up. So you've been approached by two dykes who would like you to donate sperm. One of them, their preference is that you do it the old-fashioned way. The Papa Dyke is a little bit uneasy about this, and so some advice as to what to do.
Whatever stresses exist in the relationship now, after the baby is born, they will be multiplied by an order of magnitude at least. Having a baby is a really hard work. After the first 6 weeks without enough sleep, you begin to realize that you are not a perfect human being and you are not going to be a perfect parent. That's just how the world is designed. We all got born like that. We all managed to survive. But that's something to really think about. The other thing is, I strongly, strongly suggest that you all, if you decide to do this, first of all, you do need to work on figuring out how to get agreement with everybody. Because if you are present and if you engender the child in the old-fashioned way, legally there is no way your rights as a father could be taken away from you. Unless you did something really awful. Yeah, what?
If I sign papers that the Papa Dyke can adopt as soon as they're born, then it's legally...
Not forever. There is a big bias if it's known that you're the biological father. The only way that you can make that something that will absolutely stick in court, if you, for instance, were to love the child and change your mind and want to stay connected to this child, the only way they can make that, it's a weird thing you go through to make it stick, which is you have to do artificial insemination and you have a doctor there. Because if you do artificial insemination and you hand the sperm to the mother, the prospective mother, that's not good enough. It has to pass through a doctor's hands.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
It's almost like you have to leave the money on the night table. You can't give it to the person. Like, so you have to leave the sperm on the night table or give it to the doctor.
We're looking into this since my partner is a woman who's thinking about having a child, and we're trying to figure out what the laws look like these days. It is really complicated, and you need a lawyer. You also need to give yourselves enough time to really work through whatever you want to work through about what this is going to look like. It's not unethical to do by any means. But one of the things you realize is that the three of you would be taking a step into the unknown. Babies are powerfully, powerfully lovable. Before my daughter was born, somebody told me babies are like jaguars. If they weren't so cute, nobody would put up with them. But babies are really amazing. The energy of a newborn baby, I used to call my daughter Little Buddha, you know, this perfect undifferentiated consciousness before they can even focus their eyes. It's astounding traveling with a little baby. Just astounding. And it's very powerful. And, you know, you need to be really clear on what you want to do before you get there. Because when you get there, it's kind of unknown. You won't know what it is that you might want. You want to keep your options open. And so it would probably be a really good idea to make sure that the three of you had a pretty strong agreement. I mean, there's no reason why three people can't raise a baby, and there's no reason why you all couldn't make a contract that gave three people rights in a baby. I mean...
Actually, I'm planning to waive my fatherhood rights immediately.
Okay.
It's their baby.
Okay, okay. But as I said, legally that doesn't hold if you do it the old-fashioned way. So get a lawyer. That's my biggest advice. It's going to take a very fancy legal contract.
And the lawyer makes four, which works for the whole polyamory bit. Other questions? Yes?
Talking about kids, what do you see in kids raised in polyamorous families? You know, I like what you said, so much of our view is formed by the family we're raised in. What about the second generation?
Yeah, I mean, now that we've got plenty of people, and certainly they're probably in your circle, or you might get to work with them. Poly families who are now having kids, and the kids are raised. Any thoughts or observations?
Well, I always look at the kids that I co-parented, about 13 kids, 9 of them while they were 2. If I had any bad karma from a previous life, I want to tell you it's cleaned up now. I did my time. But I know a lot of those kids, and every once in a while there's a birthday party. We all get together. I can recognize them. They're 40-something now, right? You know, and I can still recognize them, and they recognize me. It's amazing. Babies are like puppies. They can handle a lot of people, and you know how you meet a puppy, and your friend's puppy, you play with the puppy, and then you go away, you come back a few months later, and the puppy seems to remember you? Babies are like that. They're designed to grow up in villages of about 40 people. They're not designed to be raised by their biological mother and father. In farming communities, in hunter-gatherer communities, able-bodied adults work. Babies are raised by older children and by elders who are too frail to do the hard physical work of keeping life going. Babies were never raised in nuclear families in any natural environment. That is not what we were evolved to do. So we form villages, and the babies, the young children, just fit right in. They had no trouble figuring out what adult was good for what, and who liked to play ball, and who would read a story, and who would get them candy even though they weren't supposed to. And they worked all that stuff out real fast. And they liked it. They thrived because they didn't, they had a lot of attention, activity, stuff going on all the time. It wasn't like being alone in a house with mom who's getting tired and bored and wants to talk to another adult, please. I mean, at one point I got a little isolated when my daughter was a baby, and I actually let some Jehovah's Witnesses into the house.
Just so that you could have an adult conversation.
Sort of adults.
So what kinds
But the
of
kids are
partnerships
fine.
have they grown up into?
All kinds of different ones. They did some things we didn't predict. The teenagers somewhere around age 13, 14 might pick another adult in the community, sometimes one of their parents' exes, as a mentor and confidant at the time when, you know, they'd rather do anything than ask advice from their parents, right? Mm-hmm. The kids seem to have a variety of choices. Some of them have chosen monogamous lifestyles. Some of them have chosen non-monogamous lifestyles. Some of them are gay, straight, bi, whatever. They're all over the map. And that tells me that we did it right, because the kids evidently have freedom to choose how they want to be. If they're choosing to be monogamous, I know they're doing that because it's what they want, and not because they think it's what they have to do. If they're choosing to be heterosexual, they're doing that because it's what they want, not because they think that all the other options are somehow less than. And so these kids are just amazing. They're wonderful. They're all very smart kids and pretty well socialized too. Used to dealing with people. I like them.
Other questions?
Yes.